Hey there, vinyl community. Midge here again, a guy in a hat who likes to talk inarticulately about records. And today I thought I'd talk inarticulately about some new releases that I got during the month of May. As I'm recording this, it's a beautiful hot sunny day in the UK in June, and I thought I'd better get on with it because there's so many videos I want to do, but there's just no time to do them. But if I don't get a move on, I'm going to be talking about June's releases in September, and that's going to confuse everybody, least of all me. May, as it turned out, was a massive month for new releases. We had the new Boards of Canada album. You had the new Paul McCartney album, all in the same month, and I've talked very inarticulately about both of those albums on separate videos. But there was also some other albums that came out in May that were just as good, just as important, and you don't want to miss out on them. So this video today is to show you what I bought in May and hopefully turn you on to some new releases that you might have missed or that you should be aware of, I think. So the first one is the sixth album by one of my favourite bands, and it's a corker, absolute corker. And it's the Lemon Twigs, and it's their latest album, Look For Your Mind, released in May. Sixth album from the annoyingly talented Daddario brothers, Michael and Brian. And every time they bring an album out, well, over the last 4 or 5 years, I think they can't top it. And then they bring out another album and they top it. Well, in my opinion, anyway. And I strongly think that this is probably their best album so far. But I said that about the last album, I think. But it's amazing. It's brilliant. And you know the sort of set for the Lemon Twigs by now. Highly influenced by the 60s and 70s. Highly influenced by power pop. There's a Beatles obsession there. There's a Beach Boys obsession there. Just a general obsession with the 60s, and it's not pastiche because the songs are so strong, and it's not like even like a homage. It's just they do it so well. It's just incredible, and this album is just proof of that. It's one of their strongest, song after song. It's just an absolute banger. There's no sort of poor songs on this, no songs that are worth skipping. And I think there's about 14 songs on this album, and they're all great for many different reasons, but they're such good songwriters, and I think they're really hitting a purple patch at the moment. I mean, if you go through the track listing, obviously, their influences they wear on the sleeves, so some people could call them pure copyists, but they're too good for that, in my opinion. The songs, like I said, they're so strong, full of hooks, full of brilliant arrangements, unforgettable choruses. They're just so good at what they do. So a lot of these songs on here, they're sort of like in the tradition of boy-girl songs of the 60s, where it's done from a boy's perspective about getting a girlfriend or worried that he's not good enough for his girlfriend. One of the great songs on here, 2 or 3, concerns a guy who's dating a girl who's so into art and music and all sorts of philosophy and things like that, and he's just worried that he can't keep up with her because he doesn't know about these things. So the chorus goes, she's lived 2 or 3 as many times as me, and it harks back to those sort of like, particularly I suppose, Beach Boys songs, where a lot of the songs were revolving around boys being worried about getting a girlfriend or that they're not cool enough for a girl and things like that. So it harks back to a songwriting tradition that you don't tend to get much anymore. And it's really cool for that. So obviously, as you go through the track listings, the influences are, like I said, they wear on the sleeves. So they've got soaring backing vocals, layered harmonies. There's obviously a hugely strong Beach Boys influence on these songs. My Heart Is In Your Hands is a great track as well. In the middle A, I keep expecting it to break into the Searchers, Needles and Pins. It's just, that's where the reference points are. And what's interesting about this album is Michael and Brian, they alternate the lead vocals. So one track it's Michael, next track it's Brian, and it follows that all the way through the album. And Michael in particular has a real sort of John Lennon inflection to his voice at times. I'm trying to think which track it is. I think it's My Heart Is In Your Hands. There's a couple of lines where you sort of like the hairs on your arm stand on edge because you think it's Lennon. It's got a real sort of like tone and inflection to some of the songs he's singing, which is really cool. There's a song called "Yeah I Do," which is sort of like harks back to sort of Beatlemania type era Beatles. There's also a song called "I Just Can't Get Over Losing You," which sounds like it could have come off the Beatles' Help album. Very mid-60s influences. And it's sort of like I always think there's a Monkees influence here in the way they arrange the albums, as it's like one catchy track after another, some ballads, some up tempo. The absolute favourite of mine on this album is "Bring You Down," which starts the second side, and it's like a rewrite of Eddie Cochran's "Summertime Blues," and it's about the man keeping you down in your job, and you're not earning enough money to take your girl out, and it's just got such a great rock and roll pace. It's just a complete rewriting of "Summertime Blues," and it's absolutely superb, really catchy, really rock and roll. Absolutely brilliant. But that's the same with all the songs on the album. It's not just the fact that the 60s influence, they're just so joyful, it's just so uplifting, it's just so catchy. It's one of those albums where it finishes and you just want to put it on again and just keep listening to it. It's really summery, it's really uplifting, and it's just great. And the album finishes with "Your True Enemy," which is a great track, and it's really it's more psychedelic than the rest of the album. It's got phase vocals, it's got backwards voices. It finishes on a really sort of building psychedelic climax, and it's just great. And the lyrics are great as well, just basically saying that, a lot of the time you're fighting yourself and you're your own true enemy. And it's just, honestly, what an album. I can't stop playing it. It's just fantastic. And I love the Lemon Twigs anyway, but this one I think is really special, and it's really worth checking out if you haven't checked out the Lemon Twigs before, or even if you've tried some of the previous albums. This is brilliant. It's, I'll say I don't know how they're going to top this, but this is superb. So if you love the Lemon Twigs or you've never tried them before, check this album. Look for Your Mind. It's absolutely brilliant. It's on Captured Tracks. Has the lyrics and the sort of the band arrangement, some great sort of horn arrangements, and basically the brothers, they mostly play all the instruments on the album, with a few exceptions where the touring band members play some bass and things like that. But generally, it's just the two brothers playing all the instruments, which is incredible in itself. And it comes on this Coke bottle covered vinyl. And it's superb, and I could just go on all day saying how good it is, but you need to check it out. It's cool. It's absolutely brilliant album. So that's the Lemon Twigs, Look for Your Mind. Amazing. The next of May's albums that I picked up was an album on one of my favourite labels, and if you've watched my channel or my videos before, you'll know what it is. And it's the UK-based Castles in Space label, which is a big favourite of mine. They specialise in electronic music of all kinds, and this is the latest LP on the label, and it's by an artist called Danalog, and it's called Teleportations, and I've been listening to a lot. It's absolutely superb, this. It's the first solo album of Dan Levers, Danalog. Do you get it? You see what he did there? It's good, that, isn't it? And you may recognise his name. He's the keyboardist for the three-piece The Comet Is Coming, which had Shabaka Hutchins from the Sons of Kemet in the ranks. And this is his first solo LP, and it's really cool. It's sort of like a mixture of sort of analog synths and sort of spacey textures, but it's all over the place. There's elements of house music, there's elements of krautrock, there's elements of funk and soul, and it's a really cool album. It's sort of it is quite jazz fusion in places as well, and most of the instruments, if not all of them, are played by Dan Levers on this, and it's really cool. It's sort of like, it's all the tracks segue. So as cheesy as it sounds, it's like you're going on a journey. It's like obviously it's sci-fi based, as you can see from the cool cover, and it's a series of instrumentals. There's some vocal elements to it as well, heavily processed vocals in parts, but it just feels like a really spaced out sort of trippy journey through time, space. and yeah, it goes all over the place. If you're a fan of Flying Lotus and that sort of futuristic sort of jazz and soul, there's elements of that here as well. But like I say, there's elements of krautrock, house. It's got like a club edge to it at times. It sounds quite, dubby at times. It's a bit of a, like, it's got a bit of everything really. It starts off quite slow with the track Awakening of the Planet and Mother of Mars, and it's one of those albums that it slowly builds, and it does feel like you're going on a journey. It feels like it's taking you somewhere. And there's lots of like gently swirling synth textures. Then it gets a bit more energetic. Sort of like loads of burbling type noises and futuristic type noises. And it's just great. It just sounds like a futuristic sci-fi soundtrack in a way. Like I say, it's on the Amazing Castles in Space label. This is the Dinked edition, so it comes with a postcard of Dan, the Dan log of the title. Look at that jumper. That jumper's cool. I'd love to have that jumper. It comes with a poster of the really cool artwork. So that's really cool. And in a sleeve with a sort of suitably spacey sci-fi type story on it. And it's on this really cool sort of swirly galaxy type green and blue vinyl. Looks even cooler when you hold it up to the light. But yeah, so that's the Dinked edition. But there's a standard sort of colourful nebula type version as well on the Castles in Space Bandcamp. If you've never tried anything on Castles in Space, highly recommend checking this out. It's really melodic, like I say, really spacey. All the tracks segue, so it does feel like you're going on a bit of a journey, like I say, but it's really cool. And if you like any of the elements of the music I've described, then it comes together really well. It's sort of like a suite that really moves. You feel like you're going somewhere on it. And I've really enjoyed this. I've played it a lot. So if you like The Comet Is Coming, if you like that sort of Flying Lotus, like I say, futuristic sounding soul, funk, there's a bit of everything here. Well worth checking out. Again, on the wonderful Castles in Space label. So that's Danalog and Teleportations. So the next release in May was a surprise release from one of my long-standing fave bands. And this was from The Coral. And the album's called 388, and it had a bit of a strange release story to it. So basically, it came out of nowhere, just suddenly announced by record shops, and you could only buy it from behind the counter of record shops. You couldn't order it online initially. You could only go into a record shop and buy a copy. I think the actual 388 copies were given to Skeleton Records in Liverpool, where the band are from. And selected indie shops up and down the country had a few pre-release copies as well. Mine did, so I was really lucky to suddenly, saw it on the website and suddenly just went along, managed to get a copy, one of the last copies they had. I think they only had 5. And since then, it has had a proper release, so you can pick it up on CD and vinyl from most record shops now anyway. But at the time, it was like a first come, first served. I suppose a really cool way of generating word of mouth about the album, because at the time, no one knew if it was going to get a wider release or not. And the Coral have been on a bit of a purple patch recently. They've done a few great concept type albums, and I've been really enjoying the last few albums the Coral have brought out, and this is no exception. And they've gone a bit of a strange route again on this one. So basically, a lot of the sound of this album is your classic 60s reggae type sounds. So you've got your clip guitar, you've got your sort of bizarre sounding organ sound to it, you've got brush drums, you've got sort of lots of snare work, lots of reverb, lots of the sort of classic reggae 60s touches. So it sounds of the time. It's got a great summery sort of Jamaican vibes to it. The songwriting, more or less done by James Skelly, is, top class as always. The songs are really catchy. There's a great variety, but they've all got that sort of reggae type tinge to them, which is a different sound for them. There's always been like little elements of it, but this has gone like full blown, and it's really cool. The 388 of the title is because apparently a lot of these songs were cut deliberately live in the studio to a 388 Tascam tape machine, and I think James Skelly was insistent that it was of the moment. They recorded them in the moment as the band in the studio, and then they were mixed the same day, so it was quite a fast recorded album, I think, and all the raw and rough edges were left in. So again, that gives it sort of homemade type reggae vibe of the 60s. And the songwriting is just top notch, as you would expect. There's Let the Music Play, which starts the album with a great sort of a rock steady sort of horn section to it. There's lots of funky bass in there. Leave It in the Past is another great song. There's the acoustic You and Me and the Beautiful Sea. Sad Girl is another great reflective ballad. Lots of echo, lots of reverb. And yeah, it's just an absolutely great album. It's got full of like good vibes, really summery, really catchy songs. Like I say, they've got that great sort of sound to it. It does sound like live in the studio, and just like a laid back, chilled songs. Lots of great horn arrangements, lots of echo vocals. And yeah, just like a really shimmery, summery sound, with that reggae feel to it. And they really pull it off well. It's a great album from start to finish, but like that reggae tinge to it really brings the songs out. It's really cool. It's definitely a different change of direction for the band to incorporate this, but it's really enjoyable to listen to. Comes on black vinyl. Great shot of the band there. But yeah, it's had a wider release now, so it is, it's generally available now. But if you want a great summer album with great summery vibes on it, the Coral are always good value for money, but this is really enjoyable. This is great. This is a great summer album, really uplifting, really catchy, and songs that stay in your head for days. So really recommend picking up a copy of this, and that's the Corals 388. So lastly, but by no means leastly, the final album I picked up in May was the fifth album by a singer-songwriter who I've really enjoyed her last couple of albums, so I always look out for new material from her. And it's by Aldous Harding, and the album's called Train on the Island. And if you've never heard Aldous Harding's material, songs or albums before, you could probably sum her up in one word, really, and that's quirky. She's very quirky, she's very unique. She writes very melodic songs that are quite confessional sounding, but her lyrics are really oblique and quite bizarre, so you're never quite sure what she's on about. Obviously, it means a lot to her, but probably not as much to you. I get the impression she's been quite confessional, but she doesn't really want to go the whole hog and tell you everything about her life. So it's wrapped up in oblique lyrics a lot of the time. But song-wise, quirky songs, a little bit different, but not a hard listen. There's always a lots of melody there. Her vocals are brilliant. She, 1 minute she's doing a falsetto, the next minute she's doing like a childlike type croon. She does use her voice quite in a lot of different ways, quite quirky, like I say, but melody's always at the heart of what she does. And like I said, this is her fifth album, recorded at the famous Rockfield Studio in Wales, produced by John Parrish. And this time she's gone for quite a stripped back, intimate type sounding album. So it's usually a framework of her on acoustic guitar or a Fender Rhodes piano, and she has minimal backing bass, drums, and the singer-songwriter H. Hawkline also plays a lot on here and adds vocals as well. So yeah, it's like I say, it's quite a strange off-kilter album, but her works usually are. But there's some great vocals, great melodies. Like I say, it's quite minimal. It's usually built around some sort of repetitive riff that then the other musicians fall in the back of and add to it. Lots of strange and funny lyrics. One of my favourite is "You don't see me helping down the naked owl," which gives you some sort of indication of what it's like. The last track is called Coats, and the chorus is just basically big thick coats on the dogs of people just trying to help. And I know it sounds bizarre, but it really works in the context of the song. So it's off kilter, but there's a lot of melody there. It's catchy. There's some great lines in there as well. She talks about meeting John Cale and he's just eating rice while she's setting up on the stage. And yeah, she's great. And I really enjoyed her last few albums. And she, you know, if you've never heard her before, want to try something a little bit different, she's a great artist to get into. Like I say, her vocals are great. It's quite minimal. Sometimes you feel like she's whispering the words in your ear, and you feel like you're in the room with the musicians. It's really stripped back and intimate. Quite confessional, like I say, but there's some great riffs here. There's some great vocal melodies, all a bit quirky. But yeah, it's a great album. It's on 4AD, and like I say, you can see from the track titles that she's a little bit strange, a little bit off kilter, but she's great for that. As you can see from the cover, she mentions blue women in one of the tracks, the lyrics in one of the tracks. I don't know if she means blue as in a bit downbeat, a bit depressed, or whether it's got another meaning to it. But you know, it's from the cover is based on one of the lyric lines in the album about blue women. Could be a thing, could be a trend. Smurf women, could be the future. There she is. I don't know if she's burnt something or she's got, you know, she's set the sink on fire, which is quite a feat, and she's running around the garden. But yeah, she's great. Really strange, really off kilter, but really melodic. The inner sleeve has the lyrics, and it comes on this great blue vinyl, as you would expect. And like I say, if you like singer-songwriters, if you like something a bit off kilter, Aldous Harding is your woman, and she's great. And I really recommend checking out this album if you haven't before checked out any of her stuff before. She is great. She's great. And that's it for May. So we'll see what Joy's June brings. We're nearly at the end of June. I'm a bit behind. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll see what June brings us. But I hope there's something there that tickles your fancy, as it were. You might try checking out, despite my inarticulate descriptions. If you do, let me know, and let me know what you think. But thanks for watching again. Thanks for indulging me. And I'll see you soon for some more inarticulate ramblings. All the best. Take care.